Hey, I'm the How-To Dad, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this Outfeed table that flips around and turns into a miter saw stand. And there's something else. See that little pedal down there? That's a secret. Stick around and I'll show you what it does. As always, I've drawn up plans for this project and they're available by clicking the link in description or by going to beddeskplans.com. For the Outfeed table miter station, it's actually going to go right here, which is going to be perfect. So I'll be able to do small cuts from the table saw and have the Outfeed table, and then also when I want to, I can flip it over and become my miter station. The great thing about it being on casters, wheels so it can move around, is that if I have a large sheet of plywood or something, I can move it to the center of my workspace and cut there. And then same thing, if I have longer cuts with my miter saw, I can move it around. So right now, it's not the best setup because I have my miter saw underneath there, and if I want to set it up, if I want to get at it, I've got to pull it out from underneath there, and then I've got to set up some kind of a workstation in order to be able to use it. Now this workstation is really great, and I am really liking it, but maybe I want to use it for something else, not just a miter saw. Maybe I want to be able to use the miter saw and have something set up here. So I've got to come up with something else, and that's the idea behind this miter station. So the materials that I'm going to need for this build are basically just 13 2x4s, a 2x6, a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, about 5 hinges, and a pipe, and a couple of casters. Now the casters are in the mail, so they might not have come. They may not have come, but so I might have to use some casters in the meantime that I've got at the hardware store. Hey man, did you get that 2x6?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so I've got everything in the garage now, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting everything out on the miter saw. I'm going to use the miter saw to make a miter station.
Hey man, can I borrow your tape?
Oh yeah, man, this one. Great, thanks. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut everything to length at first on the miter saw, and then after that I'm going to cut all the angles in the joinery.
It's a good idea to keep all your pieces labeled and organized.
All right, so I'm just finishing off making these cuts of the 2x4s now, and the next thing that I have to do is I'm going to cut out the plywood. So I'm going to pull that out, and basically the plywood is going to be the work surface. I'm going to use that. Kick those over there. I'm going to use that to as the Outfeed top of the Outfeed table and the top of the miter station. I'll put this thing away for you. Do you need me for anything else?
Nah man, you're pretty much just in the way.
All right, see you later.
A circular saw can create really bad tear out, as you can see here. To avoid the tear out, you can score each side of the cut line before cutting. That way the chips will stop at the score line. When using a circular saw, it's a good idea to cut with the face you want showing facing down. You won't have tear out on that side. You can also try the blue tape trick. I've had mixed results with this. I ripped these 2x6 pieces down to make up the sides for the flip part of the table. Here, I'm marking the location of the hole for the pivot pipe. I screwed it all together and decided there's one good place for this first attempt. I built the box out of plywood instead. I modified this pipe so I could run a length of 14-2 wire to power the saw. To keep the pipe from rotating too much, I screwed it into the flip top. Next, I assembled the structure of the table.
Okay, so I'm doing a dry fit and I'm running into a bit of an issue. Basically what's happening is this side of the flip mechanism is a little bit different than this side of the flip mechanism. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scrap the 2x4 idea and I'm gonna make those supports out of plywood. That way it's a little bit more dimensionally stable and should be able to make exact copies with my router. There's actually enough plywood left over from the from the one sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, so it doesn't add any more material. So I'm just gonna do that.
I use my router and trim bit and the first side as a template to make exact copies.
Yeah, right, so I got this thing put back together. It looks great. It's working a lot better. So here, I'll show you. I got this piece here. So now you can see it's nice and level. So there's none of those little things to get caught on. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. So the plywood worked. And yeah, so now I'm gonna get this thing all put together and work on the casters. All right, here we go.
With the top screwed on, I need to install stops for the back of the flip top to keep it locked in place. Simple and effective, I like it. This piece will support the stop for the miter side of the flip top and act as a support for the work surface.
The only thing I haven't figured out is how to lock it this way. Now, if you follow my channel at all, you know that I really like simple things. Like, I don't like to overcomplicate things. So basically what I've come up with is this. Now, I don't want a bunch of pins and stuff that you gotta pull out. The idea of this whole thing is to make it like super simple, really easy. And simple is good. So basically all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this offcut piece of plywood, I stick it in there and bam. This thing is solid. That plywood is only 3/4 of an inch, but look at that. It is solid. So now I was thinking like I could get some hinges and I could put a hinge here and you know, whatever. Watch this. All I need to do is take this screw. Boom, done. That's it. That's it. That is it, my friend. Lock it back up, done. I can turn this from my Outfeed table to my miter station in what, like 5 seconds? There's no miter saw on there, but you kind of get the idea, right? All right, I'm getting pretty stoked on this. Now the only other thing is, how do I move this thing? Because I mean, it's light and everything, but I want to make it easier to move. That's next.
Unfortunately, the casters I have on order did not arrive, so I had to head down to Home Hard to Find there and pick these up. They're garbage, but they'll do until the good ones show up. I was surprised at just how little force was required to make the system work.
All right, so proof of concept, this actually works, but I think I'm gonna run into a bit of an issue with this guy right here. And basically when I flip this over and the miter saw is on here, oh, I try to do that without looking. Smash, it's gonna smash into this. So I'm gonna move it off to the side here, and then I think it's gonna make trying to figure out the locking mechanism to keep this thing down a lot easier too. So yeah, let's check this out. I'm super stoked on this. This is so easy and so good. Yeah.
That screw sticking out and the lock sticking out from the front of the table just won't do. I trimmed the long lever back and moved the lock back, and it works much better. The saw was attached using number 8 screws and washers.
No. Okay, so since there's a bit of a height issue when I'm putting the miter saw down, there's two ways that I've gone around, figured out how to get around it. So one way, which is actually really simple, is I just push on the pedal a little bit and then move it around. That takes like a matter of seconds, and then that way the saw is pushed in all the way. The other way that I thought about is I can just pull the saw out a tiny bit, and now it'll swing freely, lock it into place, and then I can push that back. I also changed the locking mechanisms to two pieces on the sides now instead of one long piece. It's a little bit easier. You don't have to get out of the way, and then you're less likely to pinch your fingers when you're trying to close it.
The bench was a little wobbly, so I added some diagonal shear supports, and that stiffened it right up.
All right, so I'm all finished. The top is on. It's a little bit more sturdy after I put those supports in, and I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. First of all, I left these two sides open because I may use that for future tool storage or something. I haven't quite figured it out, and I didn't want to dedicate that spot right now. When I figure out what I want to do with it, then I'll do something with it. Now, the casters, why are the casters only in the middle? Well, the reason for that is because if I do want to have storage here and that caster system goes across, it'll take some storage space away. Most of the weight of this system is underneath the miter saw, so it's not a problem. I've been able to move it around the shop without a problem. There's no issues whatsoever. I'm not going to have a lot of stuff on this. Now, I could clean it up and tidy up these locks down here and over there, but you know what? I'd only be doing that for you. This is my work table. It's going to be my work table. This is the best it's ever gonna look. It's just gonna get worse from here. Now, one thing that I really like is that this table is the perfect height to use as an outfeed table for my table saw. I don't have to worry about, getting another workstation out, and I can move this if I need to get bigger cuts and that sort of thing. And when I want to use it as my miter station, it takes me a matter of seconds to unlock, pull the thing out, flip it around, lock it back into place, and it's ready to be used. It's the perfect height for my miter saw as well. I have supports on both sides, which I'm really happy about. And I've also wired the miter saw right into the table. That way, when I'm ready to use it, flip it over, and it's already plugged in, ready to go. This isn't the best miter saw. I probably won't have this forever. I'm going to be upgrading at some point, but I made this space big enough that it will accommodate just about any saw on the market. Now, my absolute favorite thing of this entire thing is not that this flips over and I've got a perfect height for an outfeed table and a perfect height for my miter saw. My favorite part about this whole thing is the simplest thing, which is my caster system. I love this thing. This thing is so cool. In one step, boom. I guess it's two because I got to lock it. Now it's on casters and it's able to be wheeled around. In fact, I can put this thing away easier than I can put my table saw away. Watch this. There. Because it's on casters, it's so easy. I can just move it anywhere you want. I'm super stoked on this. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. I hope you're as excited about it as I am. And if you are, there are plans that you can download at beddeskplans.com. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you made it this far in the video, I'm guessing that you like it, so maybe hit that like button and subscribe to see more videos like it. To really help me out, you can head to beddeskplans.com and purchase a set of plans. Not only does it help me support my videos, but it also convinces my wife that what I'm doing isn't a complete waste of time.